In the sweltering heat of a typical afternoon on planet Zarian, the school's atmosphere was abuzz with the usual pre-class chatter. Amongst the students, the newest addition, Dax, stood out, with his pale skin and dark, piercing eyes, a stark contrast to his classmates' myriad colors and forms. Dax was an anomaly. He was a Hellworlder from Earth, a planet many had heard of but few understood. As Dax navigated through the crowded hallways, his presence drew curious glances and hushed whispers. Earth, known in many galactic circles as a Hellworld due to its extreme conditions and chaotic history, was a place of legend. And anyone hailing from such a world was treated with a blend of respect, fear, and fascination. The bell rang, slicing through the cacophony of voices and signaling the start of the first class. Dax took his seat at the back of the room, his gaze fixed forward, trying to ignore the stares boring into him. Mrs. Varela, the teacher, a slender figure with shimmering blue skin and eyes like polished gemstones, began the class with announcements, but her words soon trailed into the background noise of Dax's thoughts. He was here on a cultural exchange program, meant to foster understanding and unity among young citizens of the galaxy, yet all he felt was the weight of being a spectacle. "Today we have a new student joining us," Mrs. Varela announced, bringing the class to a sudden hush. "Dax from Earth. I believe he has some stories to share about his home world." All eyes turned to him, some wide with genuine interest, others narrowed in skepticism. Dax cleared his throat, feeling the heat of attention as acutely as the heat of Zarian's twin suns on his skin. "Earth isn't like most planets," Dax began, his voice steady despite the butterflies in his stomach. "We have a range of climates and terrains from freezing Arctic tundras to sprawling deserts. It's not just the environment that's harsh. The history of our world is filled with conflicts, survival against odds, and constant challenges." Whispers broke out among the students, their expressions a mix of awe and disbelief. "Tell us about the megafauna. Is it true you have creatures as big as our city transports?" a reptilian classmate asked, her scales glittering with curiosity. "Yes, it's true," Dax replied, warming to the subject. "Creatures like the African elephant or the blue whale. They're massive and have roamed our planet for centuries." "And what about the monsters?" another student piped up, a feathered boy from a bird-like species. Dax chuckled, realizing the mythical status Earth held. "If you mean creatures like sharks or bears, then yes, we consider them dangerous, but they're not monsters, they're just part of our ecosystem." The class listened, rapt, as Dax painted a picture of Earth through tales of its natural wonders, the resilience of its people, and the daily realities of living in a world where being tough wasn't optional. It was necessary for survival. As the hour drew to a close, Mrs. Varela thanked Dax, and the class erupted into applause, a sound that surprised Dax. It wasn't scorn or fear he saw in his classmates' eyes, but respect and a burgeoning sense of kinship. Walking out of the classroom, Dax felt a small smile tug at his lips. Maybe, just maybe, this strange new start on Zarian wouldn't be so difficult after all. As the students dispersed, a small group lingered, their eyes alight with questions and stories of their own to share. Dax knew he had just scratched the surface of Earth's narrative, and he was eager to delve deeper, not just into his own world's tales, but into those of his new friends' worlds as well. With each shared story, the bridge between Hellworlder and the rest of the galaxy grew stronger, and Dax realized that while he was far from home, he was beginning to find his place among the stars. As the weeks rolled into months, Dax found himself woven ever deeper into the fabric of Zarian's school life. His initial tales of Earth's wild nature and formidable beasts had secured him a certain celebrity status, but Dax was keen to shift the narrative, to show more than just the grit and endurance of his home planet. One morning, during a particularly advanced xenobiology class, Professor Klen, a tall being with translucent skin and a head resembling a blooming flower, posed a question that stumped the room. "Can anyone explain the concept of biomimetic adaptation in terrestrial fauna?" Silence fell, thick and heavy. Dax raised his hand, the memory of Earth's biomimicry initiatives flashing before his eyes. "On Earth, we've studied creatures like the chameleon and mimic octopus to develop technologies that can adapt to their environment, like camouflage materials for clothing and military use. A murmur of fascination swept through the classroom as Professor Klen nodded approvingly. Precisely, Dax. Your world's application of natural phenomena to solve complex problems is commendable. Emboldened by the class's interest, Dax decided to organize a presentation on Earth's technological advancements inspired by nature, tying in how such innovations could benefit interstellar societies. Word spread quickly, and the day of the presentation saw a packed auditorium. Dax started with the basics: photovoltaic cells mimicking photosynthesis, buildings designed like termite mounds to regulate temperature naturally, and materials engineered to replicate the toughness and flexibility of spider silk. The students were captivated, their minds alight with the possibilities of integrating such technologies into their own worlds. As the session wrapped up, an eager group gathered around Dax. A girl with skin that shimmered like stars at night spoke up. Could these technologies help in environments like those of my home, Sirius 5, where the light from our 3 suns is too harsh for standard solar panels? That's the idea, Dax responded enthusiastically. By adapting these Earth concepts, we can create more efficient and resilient systems tailored to different planetary conditions. This exchange sparked a series of collaborative projects. Dax found himself at the center of a think tank, comprising students from various planets. They brainstormed, debated, and designed, their diverse backgrounds fueling innovative solutions that might one day bridge worlds. It wasn't just technology that flourished under this newfound collaboration. Friendships did too. Dax discovered allies in those once wary of the Hellworlder. Their combined efforts led to a proposal for a multi-world exhibition to showcase their prototypes and concepts, aimed at fostering interplanetary cooperation and innovation. The exhibition was a resounding success, drawing attention from academia and industry alike. Dax's presentation on bio-inspired technologies was the highlight, earning accolades and sparking interest from several planetary representatives. As the event came to a close, Dax stood amidst the buzz of excited conversations and the glow of shared success, a smile playing on his lips. His stories of Earth had started as a means to connect, a way to make his mark. Now, they were the seed of something larger, a testament to the power of shared knowledge and the unity it could foster among the stars. As the seasons shifted on Zarian, the once scorching days began to mellow into a cooler, more inviting climate. With the change, Dax noticed a shift in the academic atmosphere as well. There was a palpable sense of excitement as the annual Interstellar Science Fair approached, a renowned event that attracted young minds from across the galaxy. Seizing the moment, Dax and his team, a diverse group that had formed from the initial presentation, decided to enter a groundbreaking project. They had been working on a prototype for a bioreactive habitat, structures that could adapt in real time to environmental changes, much like the skin of a chameleon adjusts to its surroundings. Amidst the preparation, Dax received an unexpected message from Earth. The Interstellar Relations Board had caught wind of his contributions on Zarian and wanted to feature his experiences and achievements in a major Earth-based scientific publication. Thrilled by the recognition but focused on the task at hand, Dax shared the news with his teammates, who celebrated the success as their own. The weeks leading up to the science fair were a whirlwind of activity. Dax and his team worked tirelessly, refining their habitat prototype. The design integrated a series of smart materials capable of altering their properties based on temperature, humidity, and solar exposure, creating a living system that not only supported life, but also interacted dynamically with its inhabitants. The day of the fair dawned bright and clear, with delegations from numerous planets arriving on Zarian. The event was held in a massive dome, its walls transparent to display the vastness of space beyond. Each team had a booth to exhibit their project, with holographic displays and interactive models. As visitors flooded in, Dax's team drew a crowd, their project captivating many. The habitat's walls shifted colors and patterns, demonstrating its responsive capabilities. Dax explained the science behind it, using simple analogies and interactive displays to engage the audience. His ability to translate complex scientific concepts into accessible information was met with nods and impressed murmurs. The judges made their rounds, their faces unreadable as they assessed each project. When they reached Dax's booth, they spent a considerable amount of time asking detailed questions, their expressions a mix of curiosity and scrutiny. Dax and his team answered each query with confidence, their extensive preparation evident. As the day concluded, the participants gathered for the awards ceremony. The tension in the air was thick, each team hopeful and anxious. When the winners were announced, Dax's heart raced. Their project won the top prize for innovation and practical application. The applause was deafening as Dax and his team took the stage to accept their award. Their success was not just a personal victory, but a symbol of what could be achieved when diverse minds collaborated. The project had started as an academic exercise, but had grown into a potential blueprint for future interstellar habitats. In the days following the fair, Dax's achievement on Zarian was recognized by both his home world and his host planet. Offers for further development and funding came pouring in, and there was talk of testing the habitat on other worlds, a testament to the project's potential. Dax realized that his time on Zarian was more than an educational exchange. It was a catalyst for his evolution as a scientist and a peacemaker among the stars. His thoughts often drifted back to Earth, to the family and friends he missed, but he knew his work here was just beginning. With each new discovery, each shared success, he was helping to knit a tapestry of cooperation that spanned galaxies, and that was something worth staying for. As the galaxy watched, the project that Dax and his team had pioneered began to take shape beyond the confines of theoretical models and controlled environments. The team was invited to implement their bioreactive habitat on a small, uninhabited moon orbiting a gas giant in the Calum system. It was a test site, but to Dax and his colleagues, it was the first real-world application of their work. The moon, named Seraphis, presented an environment harsher than Zarian's, with erratic temperature swings and unpredictable weather patterns. Perfect, Dax thought, for testing the limits of their habitat's adaptability. The team set up base, their equipment and materials transported over several space flights, each trip escalating the anticipation and anxiety of the impending trial. As they began construction, Dax took charge of integrating the sensor arrays that would allow the habitat to respond dynamically to environmental changes. The bioreactive panels were designed to mimic the homeostatic capabilities of living organisms, adjusting opacity, insulation, and even their structural rigidity based on external conditions. The work was grueling. The low gravity of the moon made every task feel unfamiliar, and the protective suits they had to wear were cumbersome. Despite these challenges, Dax felt a surge of accomplishment each time a panel was successfully installed and activated, its surface shimmering briefly as it adjusted to the ambient temperature and light. One evening, as the twin suns of the Calum system dipped below the horizon, Dax stood outside the nearly completed habitat, watching the sky shift through hues of purple and orange. It was during these moments of quiet solitude that he allowed himself to think of Earth, its blue oceans and green forests so different from the stark beauty of Seraphis. But there was little time for homesickness. The project progressed rapidly, and soon it was time to test the habitat under extreme conditions. The team simulated a series of environmental shocks, sudden drops in temperature, high winds, and radiation bursts. The habitat responded as designed, its panels thickening and changing color to protect its interiors, maintaining a stable internal environment. Excitement within the interstellar scientific community was growing. Reports of their success reached far and wide, sparking discussions about the potential for using such habitats in colonizing other harsh worlds. Dax found himself at the center of these discussions, presenting their findings in various forums and symposiums, his name and that of his team cited in numerous academic papers and articles. Yet, with recognition came responsibility. The potential applications of their technology were vast, from providing safe havens for explorers on uncharted planets to offering solutions for worlds ravaged by climate extremes. The implications were profound, and Dax felt the weight of these possibilities on his shoulders. In response, he proposed the establishment of an interplanetary habitat initiative, a collaborative effort that would leverage their technology to aid in humanitarian and exploratory efforts across the galaxy. The proposal was met with enthusiasm, and soon, what had started as a small project on Zarian had spiraled into a movement, one that spanned civilizations and star systems. As Dax watched the habitat on Serapis stand resilient against another simulated storm, he couldn't help but feel a twinge of pride. They were not merely surviving in this alien environment, they were thriving, paving the way for future generations to explore and inhabit the stars. The habitat was more than a structure. It was a beacon of what could be achieved when diverse minds worked together towards a common goal. The success on Serapis was just the beginning. As the news of the habitat's capabilities spread, Dax's initiative attracted interest from corners of the galaxy previously unreachable. New partnerships formed, each bringing unique challenges and opportunities. Among these was an ambitious project to adapt the habitat technology for aquatic worlds, planets where vast oceans covered most of the surface. One such world, Aquarius 7, was known for its turbulent seas and deep underwater currents. The challenge was to create a habitat that could withstand the pressures of deep-sea living, while adapting to the dramatic temperature and pressure changes that characterized its marine environment. Dax dove into the project with his usual fervor, collaborating with marine biologists and engineers from Aquarius 7. They redesigned the habitat's exterior, incorporating materials inspired by the planet's native mollusks, known for their pressure-resistant shells. Inside, the living spaces were arranged to optimize the unique fluid dynamics of an underwater environment, ensuring comfort and safety for the inhabitants. Testing the new designs presented a series of trials that pushed the team to their limits. The first prototype, submerged in the crushing depths near Aquarius' equator, failed spectacularly, its structures imploding under the immense pressure. Undeterred, Dax and the team analyzed the data, made adjustments, and tried again. It was this relentless pursuit of perfection that gradually brought them closer to a viable solution. During this period, Dax was also involved in training sessions, where young scientists and engineers from various planetary systems came to learn about the technology. These sessions, held both on Zarian and at remote training facilities across the galaxy, were part of Dax's vision to disseminate knowledge and skills that could empower local populations to build and maintain their own habitats. It was at one of these sessions that Dax met Lyra, a young engineer from a small colony on the fringe of the Orion Nebula. Lyra's insight into energy conservation and her ability to think in 3 dimensions were invaluable to refining the habitat's design for Aquarius 7. Their collaboration highlighted the initiative's success in fostering a new generation of interstellar problem solvers, united by a common purpose. Meanwhile, the habitat on Serapis continued to function flawlessly, its success a beacon for potential habitable sites across harsh landscapes. The data collected from this and other test sites contributed to a growing repository of knowledge that Dax hoped would one day serve as a universal guide for planetary colonization. The culmination of the Aquarius 7 project was a moment of truth for everyone involved. When the revised prototype was finally lowered into the ocean, holding its integrity against the crushing depth, it was a triumph not just of technology, but of collective human spirit and ingenuity. The habitat not only survived, but adapted beautifully, its outer shell shifting in hue and texture to blend seamlessly with its underwater environment. This breakthrough had implications far beyond Aquarius 7. It demonstrated that life could thrive in environments once deemed too hostile, opening up new realms of possibility for exploration and settlement. The technology was quickly adapted and deployed to other aquatic and semi-aquatic worlds, each iteration improving upon the last. As Dax watched the Aquarius 7 habitat finally come to life, lights flickering on in the murky depths, he felt a deep connection to the universe. His work, once focused solely on survival, had evolved into something much larger, a testament to the potential for life to not just exist, but to flourish across the stars. The Interplanetary Habitat Initiative, under Dax's leadership, had grown beyond the boundaries of mere scientific endeavor, morphing into a symbol of hope and unity for diverse species across the galaxy. As habitats sprang up on more worlds, adapting to environments as varied as the life forms that initiated them, Dax witnessed the flowering of a new era in space colonization, one driven by sustainability and cooperation. Amid this whirlwind of progress, Dax was invited to speak at the Galactic Council, an assembly representing hundreds of planets and species. It was a rare honor, typically reserved for the most esteemed leaders and innovators. The council convened on the neutral megastructure known as the Harmony Ring, a vast space station orbiting a peaceful star at the edge of the galaxy. As he prepared his address, Dax reflected on the journey, not just his own, but that of every individual who had contributed to making the habitats a reality. His speech was to highlight not only the technological achievements, but also the collaborative spirit that had made these achievements possible. It was about the collective power to overcome adversity, to turn barren rocks and deadly waters into homes. The day of the speech, Dax stood before the assembly, his audience a tapestry of the galaxy's diversity. Beings of all shapes, sizes, and colors listened intently as he shared stories of planets transformed, of species saved from extinction, and of children who could now dream of futures under strange stars, thanks to the habitats. He spoke of Aquarius 7, where the underwater habitats had revitalized a planet, creating new industries and ecosystems. He talked about Seraphis, where what had once been a lifeless rock now buzzed with researchers and pioneers. Each story was a testament to what could be accomplished when beings worked together, guided by shared goals and mutual respect. As Dax concluded his address, a standing ovation filled the chamber. It was a moment of profound validation for him and for everyone who had dared to dream along with him. The applause was not just for their technological triumphs, but for the vision they had all embraced, one of a united galaxy prospering through shared challenges and shared rewards. In the days that followed, Dax was approached by many leaders, each expressing a desire to join the initiative. New projects were discussed, new partnerships formed. The habitats had sparked a movement, one that promised to redefine life in the galaxy. Returning to Zarion, Dax felt a mix of exhaustion and exhilaration. The planet had become more than just a host. It was now his second home. He walked through the university campus, where it all began, and paused to look up at the stars, each one a silent witness to the changes sweeping across the galaxy. The habitats continued to evolve. On Seraphis, they were experimenting with self-expanding structures that could grow along with the needs of their inhabitants. On Aquarius, the habitats were now harvesting energy from the ocean currents themselves, becoming self-sustaining. But for Dax, the most significant development was closer to home. Earth had expressed interest in adopting the habitat technology to reverse decades of environmental degradation. It was a full-circle moment, bringing the lessons learned in the stars back to the planet where his journey had begun. As he prepared for his return to Earth, Dax felt a surge of hope. What had started as a survival project in a foreign land had blossomed into a galactic endeavor, touching countless lives. And now, it was time to bring that hope back to Earth, to help heal his world with the gifts of many others. In the quiet of the Zarion night, Dax looked up at the stars once more, a smile spreading across his face. The galaxy was vast, its challenges immense, but as he had learned, so too was its capacity for wonder and rebirth.